Tennessee versus Florida this weekend in Neyland Stadium in what should be one of the better games, not only in the SEC, but the entire country. And here's why. Guys, you have a Tennessee team that got upset last weekend versus Arkansas. Not a lot of people thought that would happen, even though us on this show told you that game was going to be a lot tougher than people expected and that Tennessee was going into an outright buzzsaw in Arkansas. Obviously, they were upset. But are the Volunteers going to be able to bounce back? We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then Florida coming into town, a big rivalry game, a game that Tennessee lost last year in Gainesville that a lot of people didn't think would happen under Billy Napier, but they square off again this season. What is the perception going to be for both of these teams in a loss? Now, I think if Tennessee loses, a lot of people are going to be like, hey, man, they didn't play anybody in the first quarter of the season. They weren't who we thought they were. And Nico has not lived up to maybe some of the hype that we were putting him under. If Tennessee wins, I think a lot of people will say, well, look, Florida's a bad football team, but they were able to get back on track. They got a couple of really big games coming up in the near future. Alabama is right around the corner. So Tennessee has a lot to play for here. Obviously, they want to get back out there and show and bounce back and be in that contention of where they probably should be. For Florida, in a win, I saw our buddy Jake Crane over in Crane & Company said this. It could be a worst-case scenario in some ways if Billy Napier is able to find a way to go up to Knoxville and win because it kind of prolongs the inevitable if Billy Napier is able to hang on here. But if in a loss, Florida, I mean, look, man, it's going to be it's kind of written on the wall for Billy and company already. When is he going to be fired? Like, what are they going to do? Who are they going to go get? Who are the names that come out? You know that is going to be the perception if Florida is not able to win this football game. But let's get into the football game. Guys, I think this one's really simple in one key area. Florida has been very bad at stopping the run. They're 101st in the country in run defense. Both are their line of scrimmage and linebacking play has not been good under Ron Roberts. And it goes against the Tennessee strength, or the biggest strength that Tennessee has had so far this year, and that's with Dylan Sampson and running the football. Tennessee is 5th in the country in running offense, and you have a defense that's been giving up more running yards than almost anybody in the SEC, not named Mississippi State. They've been the Florida Gators. I think that Tennessee needs to come out here, not really work on a whole lot of things, get the game under control, line up and run the football. I understand and know that your offensive line last week had some struggles against what nobody's going to tell you, but this guy will right here. That Arkansas defensive front's not bad. And you struggled, and you didn't give Nico a lot of time, but one thing you did do at a really good clip was run the football against an Arkansas team who had held Ollie Gordon, who might be one of, if not the best backs in the country. They were able to bottleneck him. They were able to not let him get going. And now you look at a team in Florida that, guys, quite honestly, you should be able to line up and run the football. I've said on this show, you can check out our page and wherever you listen to podcasts. I think that Nico, to the expectations that we had for him coming out of the Iowa game, has not to this point against Power 4 opponents lived up to the expectations that we've had for him. There have been multiple times that he's missed guys for touchdowns on some fade routes. He's made bad decisions throwing into coverage. You know, I think of NC State. Guys, it's a missed throw, and the ball gets picked off. I know on the other one, his arm gets hit. It gets picked off. But it has been a correlation against P4 teams, whether it be Oklahoma, NC State, and now Arkansas, that there have been some decisions that he has made that have somewhat cost you. And I think because of that, it has limited Josh Heupel's ability to open things up the way that he did. We all know what this Tennessee offense can be from an X's and O's standpoint. We've seen Heupel do it at UCF. We've seen Heupel do it with Hendon Hooker. And I think that they have really tried to simplify it, and even simplify it a little too much. This isn't the game that you should be worried about that, because I think that you can simply, and I mean this, line up and run the football right at Florida and have a bunch of success with Sampson and that running back core. The thing that would worry me if I'm Tennessee is, even though Florida has been so bad in the running game, guys, they are in the top 15 in pressure rate. They're in the top 15 at getting sacks. This defensive line unit, for what it's worth, even though they've been bad at stopping the run, they've been really good at getting after the passer. And I don't know if that has been Nico's strength of being able to find the pressure, being able to get out of it at times and throw the football down the field and get simple, easy completions. It's actually, in my humble opinion, been the worst thing that he's done so far. But I think that this is, a lot of people, my co-host on my other show, Joe, said this is the get right week for a lot of teams. I don't know if that's this case for Tennessee. I know that Florida is not a great football team. I know that they have shown that they can get chaotic at times. They're not really well run, but I think that they can give you some problems in a rivalry game. I know that you want to go into this game and really get after them after what happened last year in Gainesville. I get that. And I think that you can. But you need to run the football and take that pressure off of Nico so that you can start getting the ball to your playmakers on the outside. Not only has the running game been bad at moments and times for Florida, so is their pass defense. Guys, they're 87th in the country, 81st in the country in passing yards allowed. They have been bad there. And I think that there will be moments that Nico is going to have opportunities to force the ball down the field that he's got to capitalize on. If he's unable to capitalize on those, then, guys, we're going to have a serious conversation about what this season may look like if he's not able to progress and get better. But there is something that I want to point out, too, because I've looked at this and said so far, like, man, Tennessee can do this, and this against Florida, and that's why I'm going to pick them to win, which, by the way, I am going to pick Tennessee to win here at home. I'm not 100% sure that Tennessee shouldn't be worried about their secondary. Now, I know what's going to happen in the comments. I know what's going to happen when people watch this video. Blake, what in the world are you talking about? We're 15th in the country in passing yards allowed. Our secondary has been good enough. I don't know. I think the best quarterback that you faced as a passer has been Taylor Green, and I think Graham Mertz is better than him at completing passes and finding open receivers. Guys, quite honestly, Graham Mertz has been a 70% completion percentage quarterback over a year and a half plus some at Florida. He's going to get the ball out quick. He's going to get to his short completions. Eugene Wilson may be back. And I don't know if they don't have the opportunity or the capability to be able to expose you in some areas. I don't know what to make of your secondary. I know that Taylor Green hit some really good passes on you. He was able to do some really good things in getting the ball out to Armstrong. I know that you went into a hostile environment last week because that was the best team that you played, and I warned you about it a week ago. A week ago today, I came out here and said, listen, I know that you think that the Oklahoma test was the biggest test that you had faced all year. It wasn't. It wasn't remotely close. Oklahoma could not pay any money of NIL. They didn't have enough money in Soonerland to pay for an offensive touchdown until Michael Hawkins came into the game. That's not Graham Mertz. And as crazy as it sounds, and you should know this after watching him a year ago, as crazy as it sounds, I would be a little worried, maybe, but I would be very interested, is probably a better way to put it, on how this pans out and how this looks with your secondary. Look, statistics in this game are going to be interesting. I think you got to get after him. I think that you have done, if you're Tennessee, really good at getting after the passer. I mean, Florida has had moments and times where their O-line has had a weakness in pass pro, like look against Miami and how much Miami was able to get after Graham Mertz and get after him. I think that that's an avenue that you can really win there. I'm going to take Tennessee to bounce back here. I think Tennessee, for what it's worth, is the better overall football team. I think they have the better coaching staff. I think they have the better talent at pretty much every position group, and you're at home. I think that Tennessee wants revenge here, and I'm not giving up on Tennessee whatsoever. But as I warned you a week ago, and I will warn you again here, don't play around with your food. Get Dylan Sampson the football and get out of the way. Make this game or make sure that you have this game controlled before you start trying to do some special things with Nico. And here's a whole nother thing. I need to see Nico get out in space and run the football. 2 reads, go. 2 reads, go. First read's not there. Second read's not there. He's off and running. Guys, it's what very athletic quarterbacks we've seen do in the last 2 years of college football that have had massive amounts of success, especially in the SEC. I look at Jaden Daniels. I look at Jalen Milroe. I look at guys like a Caleb Williams who won a Heisman a couple of years ago. Guys, they would get to the 2 reads, and if it's up there, they're bailing. They're going. They're getting positive yards. Nico has that ability. He has that capacity to do that, and you should know better than most because it's exactly what Taylon Green and Bobby Petrino did to you a week ago. 2 reads, and you're out of there. I'm not telling him to take hits. I'm not telling him to get beat up, but he's too athletic to not get positive yards. I feel like he's trying to be something that he's not completely yet, and that being a guy that can sit in the pocket and deliver it all over the place. Get moving, get moving, run the football, get down, don't get hurt. In reference to Florida, guys, I think that you're about to get exposed very bad in your run defense. This is the best running game that you've seen all year, not remotely in the same stratosphere. You've been horrendous on third down. You're tied for 106 in the country on third down efficiency. I think if Tennessee goes into this game running the football the way that we know that they can, you might be in trouble. And it might, as our buddy, like I said earlier, Jake Crane said, might be for the best when it comes to Billy Napier and that staff. So we'll see. But give me Tennessee.